Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Hi again.
A warm welcome.
Welcome.
Yes, a very warm welcome to everybody. Those who are going to listen to us live, or those who are going, if they do not have the opportunity to watch right now.
We are going to talk again about the marvelous archipelago of the Canary Islands and its magical, energetical monuments that are scattered all around these islands. The most famous ones are pyramids, but we have already talked about pyramids, which are in Tenerife and La Palma. And there are no other pyramids actually in the other islands. They were made only on those islands. Instead, in the other islands, we have different kinds of monuments, especially funerary monuments.
So, tonight, going on, covering together, beautiful, where we spent part. We actually really fell in love, covered island. That was 5 years, and every year spend some time there. So we have had the opportunity over the years to visit all the islands except for Miss Square. But we know these islands quite well. So we are very happy to share with you what we have this night. And so we see we're connected.
Hi, Sergio.
Hi. Warm welcome to you. And so we can actually start every time we show you slides, and so you can actually watch. Of course, we are also going to talk about our islands, which are actually very powerful, energetically speaking, because they are volcanic islands. This region, they are really very. And actually, what we want to do is underline, especially, culture, the spirituality of the natives of this island. They lived on islands starting according to logical, starting from 5th century BC, when they arrived from northern Africa. And for Spanish conquest, which started at the beginning of the 15th century AD, these people lived peacefully these islands and quite apart from everything, because it was not easy to reach this island. So they were really quite apart from everything. Yeah, we see other people connected.
Yeah. Just let's say hello to Rebecca and you.
Yes. We are very, very happy. Hi. We hope you're well, and we are very happy to see you here. Group.
They took part in a tour here in Sardinia with us, and let's hope they will to meet them again in other tours with you, Newman.
Yes. Yes, maybe back to Sardinia. Yes, it was a year ago. Join us. Yes, and hello, a big hello to Ivana, Nella, and a warm, big hug. So again, we are showing you 8 islands of the Canary archipelago, and they are, of course, in the mid. Graphically, they belong to Africa, but speaking, they are part of Europe, and they are under the government of Spain. But they have a lot of freedom to govern. So, for example, VAT really very, very low on the just 6.5. Prices are still okay, we can start.
So we have already spoken about Tenerife and La Palma, so and some sites of Gran Canaria. So let's start again from Gran Canaria, where, as we told you on the last episodes, the tribe was called Canarios. That's because every island had a different tribe with different names. In Tenerife, the tribes was called Guanches, and in La Palma, Bejanuarites.
Quite a difficult.
Yeah. We had Bimbaches in El Hierro also, but we are going to speak about them in some minutes. So this is a natural site, Roque Nublo, which means clouds rock, the rock which touches the clouds. And this rock, of course, it's a natural rock, natural formation of Gran Canaria, almost to the exact center of the island, and it was connected to the beliefs of pillars sustaining the sky in their ancient view.
That's right. And as you see, they are really breathtaking. And the central part of Gran Canaria is really beautiful, with all these very deep gorges and still quite wide. And actually, most of the inhabitants who are native still have some blood of the native DNA of the blood of the nation are actually this area, live in on these gorges. They lead quite a beautiful place.
There are actually some theories about the fact that maybe these two rocks were carved, but it's not, of course, the official thesis, hypothesis. But we know from historical records that it was a secret site where they made their prayers, their ceremonies, offerings, and many times, as we have spoken about the Roque Pentaiga in Gran Canaria, and another roque in La Palma, Roque Dafe. Often you can find petroglyphs sculpted on the base part of these sacred rocks.
Yeah, as it was really common at days have very natural, and so in many cases they worshipped what was natural and consider special about natural landscape. So things that really special something. And so for the sky. We know from the chronicle that people would gather around pillars, would pray that they would not fall down, because as they were considered pillars of the sky, sustaining the sky, were always afraid that they would collapse, so the sky would collapse as well, you know. And so we know that would pray so that so that was
the same unofficial theory saying that maybe these pillars were sculpted says also that there's a kind of alignment. I don't remember well if at the equinox or at the solstice. So there's still a mystery about these rocks. It's a very big rock, one of the biggest rocks in the Canary Islands. So let's hope to know more about this. And let's pass to the main site in Gran Canaria, one of the better preserved sites, and incredible site because it's quite big village, completely covered now with an artificial structure in order to preserve it. And you can find there huts and sacred huts and ceremony caves, as this is, as the name in Spanish implied, Cueva Pintada means the painted cave, the painted cave. And you can see here one of the most recurrent figures you can find in the Canary Islands about these ancient Aboriginal cults is this marvelous painting inside this sacred cave, which was artificially carved, of course, inside a natural volcanic rock. And
yeah, the colors are really beautiful, and there are these beautiful geometric
patterns,
and so is a connection geometry a lot fascinating. We produce it's here everywhere on our planet.
There are fascinating studies being made now about the meaning of this painting. The main one says that this part, which I hope you can see with my pointer, my computer pointer, is a part divided in 12 squares. 12 squares should represent the 12 months, solar months, but every square is divided into 2. That means that every month is you can see a representation of the full moon and the black moon, because the squares are divided into black and white. And so this is a small part of the calendar they made. Probably this section, or also this section, these 4 squares are representing the seasons. The rest I don't remember well, all the significance they are studying now about the hypothesis. You can also see spirals and concentrical circles here. Very, very interesting.
Spirals, circles are very common in culture. Of course, vision of the ancient that were connected to the circle, they had this idea of time going in circle, not like nowadays that we see time going on a linear scale, past, present, and future. It was not at all like this, because by observing the nature, people, of course, would then things come in circle, and the spiral can have many different.
As for us, as we have seen them in Sardinia, very rare, it's a representation about a gateway between this mortal world, material world, and the other world. So it's like a chakra, a portal, and a connection about energies. So it's a very energetical shape, the spiral, and it was represented in a small statue in Sardinia. There was a priestess with spirals here and also on the eyes. That means they could use their secondary chakras, which are here in our palms, to sense the energy. So it's the spiral is a symbol of energy, a place where energy are coming from the energetical world, invisible world, here in the material world.
Sometimes people think that energy was something that ancient people couldn't conceive. Just the other way around. They conceive it very, very well, because they were so very much connected with everything. They were so psychic, being so connected with nature, that they knew very well everything, energy. So spiral was essentially.
The concentrical circles instead are usually interpreted as symbols, fertility symbols, because concentrical circles can represent the circles the water makes when you throw a stone inside a pond. So it can be something about water, which in turn represents life, the strength, the force of life. You cannot live if you don't have water. So you need water, and in the same way you need energy in order to live. The explanation for people dying probably was explained like the vital essence went away from the body, and so the same way, if you don't have water, the vital force will go away from you.
You may ask yourself why we do not know more about this symbol, meaning of symbols, as the Spanish arrived. AD, so they might have been able to have more recording, but actually you have to see that those people right there in order to conquer, not that in culture, unfortunately for us, because even the language didn't survive. And fortunately, on the other hand, we had some reporters together on these travels, and they actually managed to record something not so, even if not so long ago. They're not talking of. But even so, it's still difficult.
And here you can find some small statues which were found there on site, and of course they are representing the sacred feminine, as you can clearly see. In their culture, the energies in the other world and also in this world were divided into two. The energies about creation, which were sacred, and the energies about distractions, which in turn were maleficent. Of course, from the positive creation side, we have the masculine and the feminine, because the masculine and the feminine encounter will give life, and life was sacred, and so the most important part about creation was giving life. And so the main deities were the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine, as represented here. The principle of chaos, about disorder, about distraction, of course, was seen as the many volcanoes that the Canary Islands has. In Tenerife, the exact name was Echeide, which gave the name of Mount Teide, of the present day Mount Teide. And of course is the highest volcano in the Canary Islands, the highest volcano in Europe, and considering also the submerged part, it is also the highest volcano in the world. Of course, when an eruption took place, of course they were destroying things. In other islands, this destruction principle was seen as a black, very hairy dog, very big dog, with curled black hairs.
Yeah, and days of conquest, volcanoes of these islands were very active. That even Val Colonne, or Cristoforo Colombo in Italian, managed to see one of them and described it. But Mother Earth out, like again, everywhere come from.
This is the rest of the site. As you can see, it's very big. Here you can find some huts for living, and there's also a reconstruction of a complete reconstruction of a hut, and they also found a kitchen. This is the hut made in a cruciform way, and these two parts, the two wings, where the beds were. So this is the reconstruction. Probably it was painted in red ochre, which is of course the symbol of the color of blood and the symbol of life.
Yeah, and it's important to understand native island lived and caused this region had to there was no life, somehow was simple, cool.
This is the sacred part where the cave you saw earlier is. It is carved in the natural bedrock of the place, and as you can see, it's a hard work because there are many rooms, very big inside, and here you can see some very deep cap marks and very big water basin for the ceremonies.
Yeah, some people are asking if this is only in English. Yes, this part is in English, and then at 10 Italian time we will have the Italian part, but again it's yes.
What time?
Italian one.
Yeah,
the Italian one is at 10
o'clock. Okay, and some other questions. No, it will not be the same conference. We will speak about the different sites in Italian. And the pictures were taken before the big fire, but actually many times, sometimes it happens in the Canary Islands. Also in La Palma there was a fire 2 years before the big fire in Gran Canaria, but monuments were not affected, however. Yeah.
And this is called Las Cuevas
de las Cuatro Puertas.
Yes, so the grottos of the 4 doors. And they are quite spectacular, and they really look a lot like Domus de Janas of Sardinia. Domus de Janas are carved rocks. Very simple. This was a very important site. Again, here they are still debating what it was for. Some people actually, this was a special place where women would, special women, priestesses, because among these tribes were priestesses that were carefully chosen and who would go away from villages, live isolated. They couldn't have many contact.
Especially men.
Yeah.
They had different days for taking the bath in the sea in order for men not to see them.
And they were sorts of nuns, of course, but they were not forced to do this the whole life. If they wanted, at a point, they go away and normal life. as well.
Usually at 18, 20, 22 years old, they could decide to come back to a normal life and have an husband and children.
And this is called Arianna Mendo. Women were considered very much. Know that some of warriors, so their role, and we know that sometimes some of the Vadas considered very wise, also asked advice.
The nicest thing about Harimaguadas is that actually it's quite an esoteric cult, because actually the main cult on those islands was the sun, and it was followed by the main shaman or a hierarchy of shamans, which were used to help the chief leaders of these communities. And the sun cults were, let's say, known, and it was administered by usually one man. And instead, the Arimaguadas cult was all about, probably, we really don't know, was all about the moon, and even the chief shaman was not completely aware about what they were doing, what were the cults and the secrets that those women were keeping. And so it was, let's say, a sect, a kind of sect,
very secret cult, very esoteric and very secret.
Sometimes in main during main rituals for the whole community, the chief shaman would ask some of the older nuns to give support during those rituals. And so we know sometimes women participated also in the ritual for the main community in public spaces, let's say, for assistance to the main male shaman. But apart from this, we really don't know what they were doing. Probably something about the moon, fertility rituals, and the life and water rituals. But in this site, actually, we saw some alignments. There's supposed equinox alignment in this room, and there's also here. Here we are in the on top of the roof of the cave you saw earlier. This is called this is sacred area,
sacred altar.
It was called Almogaren in their culture. It's a rock altar, and probably the very big circle you see here, which was found in other parts of the Canary Islands, could be used as for sitting the priests, the priestesses in this case, to see themselves in a rounded table. But it's in reality we don't know. It's a very big altar, and we have some very deep channels carved here. Some
how to call that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Almost a writing, maybe. Yeah. It seems like a Cambodian sacred language in a way. Two other cap marks here, And here we found suspected unconfirmed alignment, and also in another part of this site, this is a very big site, a very complex site with different parts.
You see the caves, and really beautiful.
Yeah. You can walk all the way on the along the top of the mountain from below and see some caves where they were living. Other caves here. It is the biggest community in one of the biggest in the Canary Islands, actually, as for the caves. And
again, here you have a view
carved inside the mountain, so it's very in a very complex way.
So, group of women use unity. Caves. Yeah, it was normal to live in caves in days. Imagine that today, still some of the natives who live in some caves. Nowadays, yeah, fridge inside, but
some of them have
yeah.
Some of them have the natural kitchen. They use the geothermal power of the volcano to cook the things. So these people living there have really a rock kitchen and a fridge at the same time at the side. A wonderful view from this side. This was the part where they were living, and here we found 3 different alignments. As you can see, there are very deep markings here with a gorgeous view on the south of the island. And actually these 3 markings are aligned in 3 different ways. I don't have the picture of all of 3. One of them was aligned to the mountain here, you can see. And one peculiar thing we found out in this island, in Gran Canaria, is that many times they use the natural rocks, natural spots, valleys as reference on the horizon to mark a different celestial phenomenon. So many times we have a reference from one cave to a mountain marking something.
This is another place, Nobbio del Valeron, which may be connected. This is so again you see lots of caves, and probably it was Arianna. There are also some other theories about this. Some people think that maybe store cereals or
to make the bread.
So some people think that it was that kind of
but actually in energy places you can charge up the grains in order to have a better bread, a sacred bread. This is one aspect of it, and the other aspect is that there's a theory about the fact that probably chief leaders were managing all the grains which were collected along the here in order to share them equally along the various communities of the island. So probably there would have been a sacred aspect of it, like something produced by Mother Earth, and so needed to be conserved and well managed in order to survive. Well, we don't have a really cold winter here. It's about 18 degrees, but actually there could have been some periods of dryness, of drought. So it will be a very smart thing to manage them. And also there's another aspect of it. Probably the sex okay. Where the caves where the grains were stored were closed with wooden doors, and every family had a granary, and there could have been a stamp on it to recognize it. These stamps are called pintaderas, which we can also find in Sardinia. And actually, pintaderas are sacred symbols. So, as for us, there could have been a different meaning about these symbols. The officially, archaeology just says they were stamps to recognize the tribe or recognize the family. Yeah. But well, it's for us, it's not like this.
Yeah, we also have to underline one aspect, that in those days everything was sacred, and for this reason, like making bread or was like a symbol of creation. So there were always ritual connected to things that nowadays for us are daily things, common daily things. Was not the same in every act was like a way to remind us of the first act
of creation,
the act of creation. And making bread was so much connected to the idea, because the grain rose from Mother Earth, and then you can make bread, and bread is so important for our diet. It makes us survive. And so everything was sacred, every act, every aspect of life. And this is very important to understand the different vision that these people had in the. And actually, Mariella is rightly saying these places make me feel a lot of spiritual suggestion, because it's really so. Everything was so it was really a different way.
So here we are in my pass, which is a necropolis built on a site where a malpais, literally a badland. Badlands here in the Canary Islands are called the lands where which are full of rocks, of volcanic rocks. So you really cannot almost walk on it because of all the stones. Very, very sharp stones. As you can see, there are some monuments which are really hidden in plain view because of the color of the rocks. Of course, they use the rocks of this lava flow, lava beds, and here we can see a better view of one of thousands of these necropolis. The shape, the concept is very similar to the mastaba in Egypt. Let's call it like this. They were, in this case, they were circular, and according to the family and the importance of the person buried there, they could have been bigger or higher, with two or three stories, and also they could have a different color on the top to recognize the person which was buried there. Here you can see a section, and the burial would have been here under the, let's say, mastaba.
Yeah, it's
the small stone pillar.
Pillar, yeah. Of course, the funerary rites as well. And we are saying hello to Carlo Pini, who is watching. We are very, very glad here. Warm welcome to you, Carlo. Let's hope to games.
And another important aspect to underline is that the Canary Islands people were able to mummify persons in order to preserve the body. Actually, in Tenerife, there's a very big cave which is still not visible to visitors, for tourists, but it was called in the Cueva de las Miles Mumias. Entonces, estoy hablando en español. I've changed language, sorry. It's called the Cave of the 1000 Mummies. It was a very, very big cave, in which also, even in the Spanish times, in 1700s, they found this cave. So we have historical accounts of these thousands and thousands of mummies preserved inside these caves.
There are not so many ancient people mummified, the people of was slightly different from the way the Egyptians mummified also. Yeah, this is another place, Arteara. It's an necropolis, and here archaeoastronomers have also found this is an alignment intersection. So when we have alignment, this means that vision of the quite advanced, shows that people, even if they led quite a simple life, they had very deep vision. So they embodied some of their sides within cosmic, to be part of the cosmic. This is something that we find again all over the world. Would align in order to feel part of the cosmos. It was important. People, ancient times, never ever believed that we are just part of what is around us. They really felt that we are part of something bigger. Cosmos was part of it. But of course, imagine the skies that even nowadays, area see. So it was very, I think, very normal to feel a part of the. Nowadays, we live in cities, even don't see skies and all the light.
This is the tomb aligned to the winter solstice, so probably a very important shaman could have been buried here, aligned to this phenomenon in order for his soul to be connected, and probably well, the winter solstice meaning is that life can be preserved. Life always wins on death, and because that's the day in which the sun is almost dying, you can think that the sun would continue to go down under the horizon and die, but instead, on those days, it will be reborn again. And so it is the symbol of connection from the earthly plane to the spiritual plane. And we have to remind you that in the Canary Islands, it was very important for the shamans during the council to recall the spirits of the ancestors. So as we told you in the last episode, during the councils, the shaman was channeling the ancestor spirits. So the ancestors were part of living part of the decision which were taken in the future for the future of the destiny of the villages. So deaf ancestors which were dead were living part about the community which was still in this dimension. And so in this way, the chief leader could talk physically to the ancestors through the shaman, which who was channeling the spirits. And this is one of the sacred huts in which they were used to do sacred rituals and take very important decisions about the tribe.
And of course, if you align, here I am meditating energy, very good actually, because for people, if you align burial place to a cosmic event, it means that you believe that life will go on a different plane, but it will go on. And it means then that there is something eternal that survives our body. And this is one aspect of aligning burial place to the cosmic event. And for this reason, these places never have a low energy, but the energy is always quite high. The vibration is high. And this way, the soul of the people buried there could actually go towards the spiritual plane, towards the light, much easily.
This monument, this typology of monument is called the Tagoro instead, and is the council hut. This is the council hut, which was very close to the funerary site. So, of course, that is why it is so close, because the shamans should easily channel, contact the ancestors which were buried there. The view is gorgeous, as you can see. And this is La Guancia, another gorgeous site, necropolis. As you can see from above, this is the plan of the site. Yeah, it's like a wheel or a cell, a cell
again,
of our body.
Yeah, again, it reminds us of cycles. Cycle of time. And this is connected to ancestors because it's the first place arrived. So first place where people arrived was always have to. These people were not native of this island, but they came from Northern Africa to live on the island, habit it. So they had connection. Ancestors came from area.
And the cults that the ancestors brought here on these islands. Probably this site was made during time with many later additions. As you can see, the plan of one circle is very similar to the circular mastaba, let's call it like that, we saw earlier. So a circle with a cyst on the inside where the proper burial site was. And probably they decided to bury one person, very important person. Then another very important person was buried next to it, and then another one, and then another one, and then they decided to bury other very important chief leaders or shamans around the original site. And so they divided, like in a wheels with rays, all the other sites and all the other cysts. So every cell has a cyst inside, in order to keep all the very important persons on the same site, to keep the cult and to keep the knowledge on the same site.
And it's very close to the ocean. You see on that day, the ocean was very rough. It was really beautiful. This scenery. Yeah, of the wheels, yes, and the cysts inside. Of course, the best view is the top view, but I don't have the drone, so I couldn't have a picture from above. There are different circles on this side, as I remember, well, 3 or 4 at least. This is again another place, Astral Diamond, Grande. It's an amazing place. Gorgeous.
Someone says they remind her of the crop circles, the circles in the corn. Yeah. She said the crop circles. Right, yes. Yeah. Wow. It's like this. Yeah.
View of this other place. There are cave here.
The access is of the site is from this part of the mountain, and they carved this very big tunnel to go on the other side of the mountain, where the sacred part was. The other part was really inaccessible from other parts of the mountain because of, as you can see, very rough, very high, gorgeous.
I really loved it.
a megalithic wall protecting the sacred site with different caves along the mountain. And here you can see an altar with very big stones. And this is another part of the same site which had different caves carved with a different angle. These different caves, each of them was pointing at this very, very sharp mountain. And this sharp mountain was used as a reference point for the horizon in order to mark a different phenomenon in the sky. So it's actually like a gigantic meridian. You have they use the same gnomon, the same pointer, to point to different caves, and so different points along the horizon. The valley below.
It was in the springtime. Yes.
And these incredible clouds going down the mountains like panna montata in Italian. Whipped cream.
Yes. Beautiful. Energy. Well, I think I'm afraid we have to stop here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have Lanzarote and El Hierro for the next episode.
We will still have about the Canary Islands. So really thank you for watching us. I'm looking forward to see you again on Monday, 8 p.m. British time, 9 p.m. Italian time. We'll go on discovering beauty in the marble history of magnificent island scattered. Bye for now.
Bye. See you.
See you. Bye. Kisses.